2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
Hey, welcome to 2414. It has been a hot minute, as the kids say, since we've been in this recording studio with one another. Shane, how are you?
Kids and adults, the whole world.
The whole world.
I'm busy. We're here.
Awesome. I'm glad you're here. So I'm Dan. That's Shane. Sitting across or diagonal from me, next to Shane, is Miss Lauren Kruse, Miss Lauren Welter, née Kruse.
Hey.
Shane's beloved bride. Today here's our agenda. We're going to do highs and lows. We're going to do a round of wheels versus doors. And we're going to talk to Lauren about a recent song that she's written. You can pause the episode at any time, scroll down to the show notes and find that song and listen to it.
Yeah, search. Yeah, and if you're too lazy to click a link, you can search White Flag by Lauren Kruse, Kruse. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
White Flag,
Yeah.
Lauren Kruse.
It'll take 3.5 minutes of your time.
Not even.
Not even. Yeah. So we recommend listening to that before and after, and many times after the episode. But
So we might remind you to pause it before we get into the song, but if we don't, you've been warned now. So before we get to White Flag, Shane, lows, highs, and the question of the day is: besides Lauren's song White Flag, what's a recent song you've been enjoying?
ooh, well, that's a pleasant. It's a pleasant high. Okay. I gotta think just a little. But lows and highs. I'll start with lows. Lows. April is just so much more busier than I ever could have anticipated.
Yeah.
I like to think of April this April, I guess, where it lined up was just the season after Easter. Easter and Lent is just the busy season, and it just never calmed down after Lent and Holy Week and Easter, and it's just been kind of just busy since then. But I think things are calming down, and yeah, it's just there's a lot of things like I couldn't plan for that I just had to accommodate for. So it's just been a journey.
The month of April is your low.
Just the month of April. Okay. Yeah. And then high, I shared with you earlier, but high would be on Friday, this last Friday, I got to play basketball again, and it was just so good to be able to shoot around in the community center. It's a little different than here at St. Luke's, because St. Luke's, the ceiling is like 10 feet high. It's the same height as the hoop itself, so you can't even get the ball in the rim.
10 feet high ceiling, but it's not much higher.
It's not much higher.
Okay.
So if you shoot the ball too high, it rains white flakes everywhere. And
I don't think you're doing it right if you're hitting the ceiling, Shane.
a high shot has a higher percentage of going in the basket.
Is that true?
Yeah. So it's
all right.
Math, whatever.
Math.
I'm not gonna, I'm a little physician here,
Just math.
astronomer, whatever. So yeah, I got to play basketball. Got to play a 3-on-3 with some folks at there, and it was awesome. It was just so fun to just get that energy out and just competitiveness. And
Yeah,
it was great. Favorite song I've been listening to. That's a doozy. I feel like Lauren would know my answer better than I do. There's a song I've been playing a lot, more than any other song.
You sing a lot of random songs in a whole bunch of different genres, and
I'll take one from, because I've been trying to listen to more music recently.
Yeah.
So I want to say one that was for sure in like the month of January.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Ava Max, Choose Your Fighter.
Yeah.
It is just it's just got that
driving
it's
four on the floor.
Yeah, that club kind of music, but it's very just catchy.
I listen to a lot of club music.
There you go. Yeah, I know. It's your jam, but it's very I think like 90s club, but it was made for the Barbie movie, and I've never even seen the Barbie movie, but it was made for it. It's like a 2-minute song. It's so quick and bite-sized.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Ava Max, Choose Your Fighter.
Okay. Any warnings appropriate for all audiences?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's
Okay.
anyone could listen to it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That is a good. That's a good note.
Yeah.
Who's it appropriate for?
We got a broad audience here, so
Yeah, you never know. So yeah,
cool. Lauren, what about you? Lows, highs, and what's the song you've been listening to?
Yeah. I'll start with low and then work my way up. So low was, I just had the worst day at work yesterday. It was really hard to get through, was feeling super down, lots of stressed out coworkers, and it was a rough Monday. So that was my low. But my high was last week from Monday to Thursday. We were at a retreat in Idaho, the Youth and Family Ministry retreat out in Coeur d'Alene at Luther Haven. And that was a really wonderful time to connect with other people who volunteer and work in churches, raising up the next generation and encouraging them in their walk of faith. And with that, we got to lead worship for people and do a couple of original songs, meet some amazing people. Our spiritual life director who was part of it, his name was Dominic Rivkin, and he was really great and encouraging us to take some time in solitude with one-on-one with God, to rest in the stillness and to be intentional in the stillness by listening to what God is trying to tell you in those moments of peace, in those moments of nothing. Instead of taking out your phone and scrolling, just take that time to close your eyes and to just meditate on the scripture verse he kept using was, be still and know that I am God. So he would say, I want you to close your eyes and just listen. Be still and know that I am God. And then he'll wait, and then he'll say, be still and know.
Know that I am.
Know that I am. That's right. And then it was be still and know. And then it was be still and then just be. And that was really nice, just to recenter, refocus on the importance of just resting in that, because that's so important, and we get so caught up in life and the busyness and the craziness of it. So that was really neat. I enjoyed it a lot. And then for song that I've been liking, so this is kind of funny. We recently watched a documentary called, is it Jesus Music? Is that what it was called? I think
it was Jesus Music.
Is this like Hillsong? No.
Not quite.
Well,
it was
like
like
kind of everything but that. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
So it was talking about the journey of Christian music, what you hear like on the radio, starting in like the late 60s, early 70s is when it first kind of started. And then it worked its way all the way through to where it is now. But in the 70s, there was this songwriter named Larry Norman. Have you heard of him?
I'm not that old. No.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Looked at me like, hey, is he old? He looks old. Larry Norman. No, I'm not familiar with Mr. Larry Norman.
I'm not born in the 70s, and I listened to him, so you never know.
By the way, it's a great time. Listeners born in the 70s or earlier, we celebrate, love you. We celebrate with you.
We still...
But anyway, he is a phenomenal songwriter. He said a lot of really bold things in his songs, and so I had a really good time listening to his album. Only Visiting This Planet is what it's called. And there's this song called 6 O'Clock News. And the first time that I listened to it, I was on a flight back from Reading. We were like waiting for the flight to take off. And the recording has like the sounds of an airplane like crashing and like taking off, and I'm like literally waiting on the runway about to take off, and I'm hearing like all of this from the music, and I had to take off my headphones just making sure there wasn't like a plane over us that was crashing down. It was really funny. But no, I really enjoyed listening to his album with that, and it takes you on a journey. It takes you on a ride. You have to go back and listen to what he talks about, because his lyrics are so rich and so fun to listen to, and really captures a lot of really deep thoughts for us to think about. So I really enjoyed that.
Chime in just for like do it a sec. Just like to Norman.
Larry Norman.
Larry Norman.
Like. There's old music that can be like, I don't know, very like political or Christian. And it just does not age well.
Okay.
It ages like milk. But this, like, surprisingly, it's like from the 60s, 70s.
Ages like wine.
Honestly, it's aged like a fine wine of like, wow, they could have written this like a month ago, and it still applies. It was, it's actually a great listen. So Larry
Norman.
Only visiting this planet.
Only visiting this planet, I think it's what it was called.
Yeah, great album.
Yeah.
All right, cool. For
all right,
me,
yeah, we gotta throw it to you.
Yeah,
Lows Highs song of the
week. One low, and it's probably connected to several other lows. Is I fell out of my running routine. So
I got really sad. I thought you were sorry. I thought you were gonna say I fell out. Like, oh, you fell.
No. So we went a spring break in Arizona with my kids, going to visit my big brother and his wife, and that was awesome. But running kind of took a back seat, and then I was home for a couple of days, and then I had a business trip, and then running didn't go during that. We stayed at an airport hotel, and so there's just no. I did one. I ran on the treadmill in the workout room one night. It was so hot, and I did. I don't know, 10 or 12 miles on the treadmill. And there wasn't even a mirror in front of me. It was just the treadmill against the wall.
No.
and the TV didn't work. So it was just me running towards a wall that was 18 inches away for 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I brought 3 or 4 running, clothes the days worth. I was like, no, this is stupid. I'm not doing this.
You have more dignity.
It was so awful. Yeah, it was awful. No. And then I got a head cold coming back on the flight. So then I was out for a few days. So I had several weeks in a row where I was crushing it, and then like this 3-week just out. So I'm kind of coming back from that. But then that spirals, and then I'm grumpier with other people, and I'm tired-er in some ways because I don't have the energy, but I'm also not able to sleep as well because I'm used to burning way more calories and sitting around. So I'm like lethargic during the day, then awake at night, and then grumpier the next day, and then just even grumpier, and then that's been my April was a low, but for some of my own reasons. So that's a low. High, started running again this week. Woo! A fear. We should have lows, highs. Oh, look at that. We could add a new segment. What are you most afraid of right now? What do you think? Right. So comment below if we should add this segment. What are you most afraid of right now?
Highs, lows, what are you most afraid of?
But my big 100-mile event is less than 4 weeks away. So some people may have listened before and mentioned that, but yeah, my goal is to run 100 miles in 24 hours, and that's imminent. That's kind of terrifying. So that's what I'm most afraid of right now.
It is imminent, but you still got 4 weeks.
Yeah, 4 weeks. But at the end, like, you're just tapering. You can't train more. It's I'm at the point where it's counterproductive to run too much. So one high is running a little bit more. Another high is that helping me be a nicer person and more patient with others. Another high is the NHL playoffs are happening, and that's fun watching some intense hockey. And baseball season started. That's a high and a low because the Cardinals are in last place, but the Mariners are in first place.
Yeah, I didn't realize that NHL and NBA playoffs happen at the same time.
It's a good time of the year.
Wow.
It's a very eventful sport time.
Yeah. So song I've been listening to.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Listening to.
So there's a song that I've really enjoyed this week, and I wasn't like fishing for it when I asked the question. It was like, hey, Lauren's a songwriter. Yeah. But it's kind of a weird song, but I feel like I should be honest.
It's all weird. All songs are weird songs.
Okay. So
not true.
The song is called The Problem.
Okay.
And it is co-written or co-performed by Jason Isbell and his wife, who has a different last name. But it's a song about terminating a pregnancy.
Wow.
And so it's like it's a kind of, the topic is very, very heavy, but it's a beautiful song. And now, kind of disclaimer, I mean, I don't know, just it's written from a very pro-choice perspective.
Yeah.
From a woman who's ended a pregnancy, but the song isn't really political. It's just, and it's written as a dialogue like between a couple. So it's sort of her experience and then him more or less saying like, I'm going to be with you no matter what. And her like, I don't think God can like stand me anymore. And he's like, but like, I'm going to be with you no matter what kind of vibe. Yeah. So it's not dismissing it like, oh, obviously this is the right choice and who cares, do whatever you want. But it's also not like, obviously you're the worst person in the world and you're going to go to hell. Yeah. It's just a very human, hey, this is a really, really, really hard situation. And here's a picture of what it might look like to love each other in it. So like behind the scenes, the author very much has a perspective of what, we should or shouldn't be doing as a country. But the song doesn't really, I don't think, force you into any, like, you're not going to be defensive one way or the other.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of invitation of, hey, what if we're people and this world is a mess? So
very human.
Yeah. Like, so it's and Jason Isbell is just a delightful songwriter. Not a Christian as far as I know, and many of his lyrics and songs would not be appropriate for your kids or for a church. Just disclaimer. But this particular song, The Problem, is I find myself wanting to listen to it again, like just regular, like, oh,
good song.
I want to hear that.
Yeah.
And and there's not a reason. I'm not like preparing for any talk on the topic. I don't have any friends who are like in the midst of that. I'm trying to support them. It's just a very human, life is hard, let's love each other kind of song.
Where did you hear it first?
So I love Jason Isbell's music in general. And so I just had a Spotify shuffle going, and that came on, and I was like, I had actually listened to it I listened to it once, and I heard the tune and like just the tone of voice. I'm like, that was a nice song. And I heard it again. I'm like, wait, is that about abortion? I'm like, holy cow. Yeah. And then I listened to it again. I'm like, that is absolutely what that's about. And then I Google it, and she released it on, like, I don't know, Women's Medical Rights Day or something. Like, there was very much an agenda behind the thing. And so she wrote this version of the song, which is like a couple processing, and then I think she said she's going to release a second version that's more like either an inner monologue or a couple women talking about what their perspective is. Yeah, I heard it like the tune. I heard it. I kind of like the tone of voice, and then I was like, it took me a third hearing. I was like, that is not what I thought the song was about.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go.
Wow, that's really cool.
I don't know. Transition from that to Wheels versus Doors. This is just real life. We have a quick round, right?
Yeah.
All right. I want to respect everybody's time.
Try something new. Why not?
So Lauren has not played Wheels versus Doors, and neither has Shane or I. We bought the game,
not the right way.
we play with the deck of cards. We're using it for our purposes.
Yeah, we have no idea. Yeah, we haven't read the rules yet.
Yeah. So for Lauren and anybody listening for the first time or first time in a while, we have a game here called Wheels versus Doors, and what it is it lists 6 things. And how we play this is we try to guess of these 6 things which is the most and which is the least. So
simple as that.
So a very simple version is like number of siblings. Like if the 3 of us were playing, who has the most siblings, Dan, Lauren, or Shane? And you could say who Dan has the fewest and Lauren has the most. I don't know, how many siblings do you have?
Shane has the most.
Okay, Shane is the most.
Yeah.
How many do you have?
I have 2 other siblings.
Oh, see, me too. We'd be tied for last place, and Shane wins. So that's a simple version. These get a little more complicated. They're less knowable.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read the 6, and we're gonna figure out which one we think there are the most of, and which one we think there are the least of, and then we'll reveal the answers.
Bring it on.
All right. These are gonna be big numbers.
Oh no!
And this was published what year, Shane? 2017, 21.
It's on the box.
It's pretty recent. It's a pretty contemporary game. 2022. So that might be helpful. So which are there more of? Which are the least of? Number 1, websites.
Oh my goodness!
So
already,
we're going to be in some big numbers here. Websites
already.
Number 2, years Voyager would take to reach the center of the galaxy. So maybe the Voyager, some like NASA probe or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of the
telescope.
It's one we sent out with a golden disc on it that has like the history of humanity, and we sent it out.
We're
in space.
just living in like the 3-body problem, inviting the aliens to come conquer us.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So which is there more of? Websites or years it would take Voyager to reach the center of the galaxy?
Oh my gosh.
We could do this just like a March Madness style. But I'm going to just keep going. Number 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Blades of grass in Wembley Stadium.
What?
Blades of grass in Wembley Stadium. Okay. Number 4, YouTube users. Number 5, Bibles ever printed.
Oh my goodness.
And number 6, pens thrown away every year.
My
writing
goodness.
pins. So I'll read them again, but your job as you listen to this time is to think which is probably the lowest and which is probably the greatest. Websites, years Voyager would take to reach the center of the galaxy, blades of grass in Wembley Stadium, YouTube users, Bibles ever printed, and pens thrown away in a year. So Shane, I'm going to be coming to you first.
Okay.
What's your low and what's your high?
I feel somewhat confident.
Right. Go ahead. I'm going to make a note here.
I'm going to say low is Blades of Grass.
Yep.
In Wembley
Stadium.
Stadium.
Okay.
And I'm going to say most is websites.
Okay. Lauren?
Okay. I think the least is pens thrown away in a year.
Okay.
And then I think the most is, oh gosh, I'm going back and forth between two, but I'm not going to give away what other one I'm going back and forth
okay.
on.
I like your restraint. I already wrote mine down. Don't worry.
Okay. I'll say YouTube users.
Okay. My guess was the lowest was Wembley Blades of Grass and Grass in Wembley Stadium.
That's a tongue twister.
And I said the highest is years Voyager would take to reach the center of the galaxy.
Okay. The other one I was going back and forth on was Bibles printed, so it wasn't even
you were
different.
different.
I bet it's a lot of Bibles, but like galaxy stuff, that's in like light years.
Yeah, it's unfathomable.
So here we go. We're gonna. These are so hard to read because there's so many commas. Like
so many.
Oh my God.
All right, let's see if I can do this quickly. Okay, it looks like the biggest one. Should I go biggest or smallest?
Start biggest.
Biggest.
All right, the biggest one is websites.
Woo.
So
Wow.
Shane, congratulations. Oh wait, nope, maybe not. Nope.
Oh.
Nope.
Wait, what?
Hold on.
Wait.
There's
Oh.
so no, stop the press.
I feel betrayed.
Well, you can try to do this. It's really hard. It's not websites. I misspoke.
Wait.
What
See,
is it?
exactly. It's
What
really,
is it?
It's really hard to
Okay.
see these enormous numbers that
All
are
right.
out. They're not in order.
Yeah, from top to bottom, the most is pens thrown away every year.
The most
At 9 billion.
every year.
Is it billion or trillion?
Billion.
Okay, 9 billion. So Lauren could not
What?
have been more wrong. That's good. So
I didn't think people used
right.
pens that much.
Second,
well, they're throwing them away by the billion.
Second to most is Bibles ever printed with 5 billion.
A little bit
5
closer
billion.
with that one, but geez.
And third most is YouTube users with 2 billion.
Terrible on this one.
Yep, this was rough. And then fourth most is websites with 1,826,089,000.
Okay.
Of course. Second least
Okay.
is Blades of Grass in Wembley Stadium.
That's close.
And the least is years the Voyager would
Oh
take to
my
reach the center of the
goodness.
galaxy, with a measly 450 million.
So at 450 million, not even. Maybe
450
it
million
means light
years.
years. You think it implies light years?
It says years.
No, I know. I'm just wrong.
Oh, okay.
So my least was the most, and your most was the least.
Okay.
In a strange way, I
Idiots.
feel like Lauren was the closest somehow.
Blades of Grass, we were both one off.
That's
For-
true.
for
But for
fewest.
most, you said,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
YouTubers.
Which was the third.
And Bibles was your your runner up.
yeah.
So you were
Okay.
right in the, no.
Should have stuck with it.
I know.
You'd been closer.
Dang it. Whatever.
I think Shannon and I, we tied for first.
Wow. Yeah, well,
Except I
we all,
think
we
you
all
beat-
tied for last.
Yeah, no, you beat me because my highest was the lowest. So like tiebreaker goes to
Automatic loss.
you. Yeah. So, and friends, that's how you play Wheels versus Doors. At least if you're hosting a podcast and have never bothered to read the rules. It's all right. I love the transitions
Yay.
we have in this show.
It's seamless.
It's just seamless.
Yeah.
It's just seamless. Speaking of YouTube users, Lauren, you have a YouTube account, right?
Yeah.
Is your music on YouTube or is it on
is
everywhere
YouTube.
else?
It's on YouTube. It's on anything you listen to music.
Is it Lauren Kruse is your YouTube channel?
It is.
Lauren _Kruse.
Lauren Kruse Music.
Lauren Kruse Music.
Yes.
Kruse. When did you write your first song, Lauren?
Oh, I think I've been writing ever since I can sing, but I didn't really know I was writing. I've always been just singing. I love to sing. I like making up melodies. I remember, I have a memory though of like the first time I intentionally wrote a song.
Okay.
And it was after I watched a movie called A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff.
Yeah.
And I just remember coming down the stairs and I was like, Mom, Dad, I have a song that I just wrote. I want to share it with you guys. And it was just like 4 lines, but I thought it was so good. Mm-hmm. And my parents were just super encouraging and they're like, wow, good job, Lauren. That's really good. And you can tell they were just being nice. But looking back, that was a moment where I was like, yeah, I'm good at this. I want to keep doing this. So yeah. And I think I was like 3rd grade, something like that.
Yeah. So you have a lot of music in your life.
Yeah.
So as an outside observer, here's what I think I know. You did some studying in undergrad, like music production.
So I studied music was my major, and my emphasis was commercial music.
So commercial music.
Mm-hmm. So it's learning. Well, first of all, the basics. You've got theory, music theory, and history, and oral skills. You have to get those. But I also studied music production and music technology, music songwriting, arranging, and just pretty much equipping myself with the tools that I need to be a songwriter, to be a musician in our modern day world.
Yeah, and you were in choir.
Yes.
I know you're a choir in undergrad. Were you in choir before that as well?
I was. Mm-hmm.
So high school?
High school choir. I was in children's choir when I was younger. My mom conducted our children's choir at my school for a couple of years. And I've just always loved singing and music my entire life.
So you and your plus one over here, you guys are a duo? Is that the fancy word? No.
Yeah.
We are.
Duo.
Yeah.
We are a duo.
So Shore Lane is the name of their group. If you listeners want to Google SHORE space LANE, Shore Lane. You can find Shore Lane anywhere you can get good music. So you perform, you gig.
Yeah, we love live performing. We like going to coffee shops, to bars, to restaurants, really anywhere that
the county fair, the state fair.
Yeah.
State fair.
Yeah. And just sharing our music, performing. We love to do that, and we love doing it together. It's so fun being able to share what we love to do.
And I've seen you live a number of times, and it's a mix of covers and originals. On your website. Is it primarily just originals for the sake of like not getting sued by people, or are you allowed to publish or like produce covers? I don't know, how does that work?
Yeah, you can do covers, and then just publishers will collect their royalties, and we don't have like any posts on our website. I'd say we have a YouTube channel where we share performances that we've done, and we are working on we just recently recorded a couple Shore Lane originals that we'll be releasing later this year, so that's something that we're really looking forward to and excited to share with people.
And on our website too, like we have basically a demo video, so try to think of the purpose of the website, because we send it to managers or event managers at locations, and we want them to see us, what we do, like get the point across as soon as we can. But then from the website, we've got like galleries of like all the different pictures of places we've played, and then on top of that with like a collection of videos from like where we've played and us doing various stuff. And then I've got a catalog of like our music on the website. I think it's been a while since I've looked at it.
So apart from the Shore Lane duo, and apart from your academic background, you are a worship leader here at St. Luke's. But apart from all of that, there's Lauren Kruse music.
Yes. Yeah. And really what that is me kind of expressing my feelings, what I experience throughout life through my songs, through music. And it's just a really great way to process and for me to express the things I want to express in the craft that I love. So
I was going to ask him, like, so what is the point of Lauren Kruse music? So yeah, when you're leading worship, I have a sense of what you're trying to do. So with your own songwriting, it's expression, processing.
Yeah, and also just providing the space for myself and for others to feel, to kind of look at life in different perspectives, and just to share my heart. Yeah.
That's so I don't know, foreign to me. Like
sharing your heart. Yeah, it's pretty
meaning like some of my craft is speaking, and I'm in part teaching and in part kind of proclaiming, to use a theological word. But that's different than what you're describing.
Yeah.
And so that's what's really interesting to me. Yeah. Like you're sharing feelings.
Yeah.
And that's not what I like. I mean, I can share feelings, but in terms of public craft, that's not something I work at, of how do I help communicate this sentiment, either just as an expression for me to process or to give them language to process. I'm trying to figure out, like, are you imagining other people? Are you intending an outcome like in them when they're hearing a song of yours?
Stories really inspire me. There are certain stories I've just really latched onto, and when I start writing a song, sometimes there's a person that immediately comes to mind where I just want them to kind of like be able to feel seen and to feel heard. Like, what you are going through, I see that, and I want to acknowledge that, and it's real. And I definitely have songs where I have people in mind that really inspire the art, and then other times I like to use my imagination and imagine like what life would be like if fill in the blank, or there's like objects that inspire me too, where I'm like, okay, well, how does this relate to my life right now? Or how does this relate to how I would be feeling when blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot of creative writing.
So with White Flag, can we jump to the end?
Sure.
In the sense of
jump to the end.
Like I'm curious about a number of things of like, what was the inspiration? What was your process? And where did you get stuck, and where did you start? But I want to ask you, like, if somebody heard White Flag and it had like a good, like, it did something in them or it stirred something, what would you want that to be or do to somebody? That's not the weird thing, like, do to somebody. It's not the right word, but like,
how it would affect.
What's the impact?
I would hope that the impact is for them to walk away feeling encouraged to seek out relationships that they know are hurting because of something they may have said that was hurtful to somebody. Really, the song is a call to unite, to put down the pride, and to really make the effort to come together to make amends with somebody that your relationship is in a rocky place with.
Yeah. Now, Shane, do you get advanced copies of these things when Lauren's working on something, or does she wait till it's done, or does she come to you and say, "What do you think?" or "I'm stuck"?
No, I kind of hear it all, depending on what I'm doing. Like, sometimes I'm in a writing mood, sometimes I'm just not. And so depending on that, like, Lauren might just be working a song and it's just kind of hear it in the background. Sometimes I hear it and then I'm like, oh, that sounds weird. And I'll
do you give unsolicited advice? Like, I don't like that, or have you tried this?
Sometimes. And sometimes Lauren asks for it too.
I do. Because when you're working on something, you can develop these blinders and be so focused on something that you just don't hear something that somebody else might hear. So I value perspectives and opinions and fresh ears for sure.
That's hard.
It's hard, especially when you become attached to something that you've been working on, and then to hear, I think you can come up with something better. It's like, oh man, I just spent how long and I'm really attached to this. I really like it. All right, let's see what we can do. And it's just a lot of digging. It's, I think you can come up with something better. It's like, oh man, I just spent how long and I'm really attached to this. I really like it. All right, let's see what we can do. And it's just a lot of digging. It's, I think you can come up with something better. It's like, oh man, I just spent how long and I'm really attached to this. I really like it. All right, let's see what we can do. And it's just a lot of digging. It's Yeah, but it's a fun process.
My friend Andy, he's got a Master of Fine Arts and playwright, and he introduced me to the phrase "kill your darlings." You write this story, and you've got this character that you love, and sometimes you have to kill him. Like, nope. So that's so hard, and the more invested you are, the harder it is to say. But I like that line. Yeah, nobody uses that word. That's not what it means, or it's misunderstanding.
There's a lot of killing in songwriting because it's so many good ideas and. Well, you can't be Meatloaf and make an 8-minute ballad of a song. Like you can't have it all. Like,
but
I could sing a bunch of Meatloaf songs, by the way.
You can?
Oh yeah.
I'm actually shocked.
Oh yeah.
That's all we got time for, folks. Sorry.
I could do a whole series on Meatloaf songs. The Gospel According to Meatloaf. Let's do it.
But with that though, it is really cool because there have been times where I had to scrap an idea from a song that I really liked, but that actually inspired another song. So I was able to take that idea that I threw away, recycle it, and use it in a better way. So that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, I'm really still intrigued by this solo, solitary, and communal, and because it's really personal.
It is. And it's vulnerable. It's difficult to share with people. You are sharing your heart. It's like pretty much sharing your diary sometimes, depending on the song that you're writing. And so White Flag was one of those songs where I did feel a little bit vulnerable in, but I felt that the message was something that so many people would feel refreshed hearing, because a lot of what we consume is you were in the wrong for this, and I'm going to get you back. And like the things that you did were so wrong, and I'm just going to move on and forget about everything, And for me, I just wanted a song. I wanted something that really showcased the importance of coming together to forgive, to move forward with the relationship, and to say, I'm sorry for what I did wrong. I don't think saying I'm sorry is normal in our culture. And so I think just having that was really important for me.
Yeah. Did this come from a broad sense of something or a very specific situation?
Yeah,
you don't have to share if you don't want to, but just in general, like, was it I feel our culture doesn't apologize, or Shane really needs to learn to apologize for this one thing? Like,
no, It was me. I mean, it was like in the heat of an argument that the song was kind of birthed, and the idea came. It was just like after the aftermath of being in a really bad argument that I really regretted some of the things that I said and wished that I could take it back and just, like my dad said one time, words are like toothpaste. Once it's out, it's out. You can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. So, it was recognizing my fault in what I said, and recognizing that, like, I really want this relationship to work. I'm invested in this, and I know you are too. And the things that you've done have been so sacrificial and so giving, and I want to do that too, because I really care about us.
Yeah. So is it kind of written from a first person perspective?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah. White Flag is a very a loaded image. So like it's kind of active, like I'm just picturing, apart from the lyrics here, of like it's because that's the title and that's one of the refrains, but it's a surrender image, right? It's I'm done fighting. It to me it's less like I'm sorry and more almost like you win, but like I don't know. It's kind of a weird. Not I'm saying that well.
No, I think part of
that's a humbling
that
thing.
is you're surrendering your pride.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like my pride loses here. Like you win. If that's what it takes to make this right between us, I'll lose. It's worth it.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like when that white flag happens, you come to some sort of truce and agreement, some treaty, like, okay, we're done fighting. We're planning out how to move forward and make this work so we don't have a fight again,
The movie Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp introduced me to the word parlay.
Oh yeah.
Like,
parlay.
Yeah, parlay. Oh, he's trying to Papa Pooba. But like in some ways that feels similar here. Of can we at least call enough of a truce to talk?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like fighting imagery, or any line stand out for you as particularly like this phrase captured something you were going for? Just like I said, especially the fighting, the conflict. There's a lot of beautiful turns of phrases here.
Yeah, there are a couple of lines that, I mean, right off the bat, at the very beginning, the first lyrics are gunfire straight through the heart, bang shot, I pulled the trigger. Didn't know the gun would go off. It happened in a flicker. Wish I could take it back. So that captures the heat of an argument, and then all of a sudden you just fire off these words that just kill somebody. You see them totally shut down, and in that moment you realize, oh my goodness, I made a mistake. I really, really hurt this person, and I can't take it back. It happened so fast. So that, I think, captured the beginning of this really, really well, just setting up the scene, setting up, okay, I made a mistake here, and this didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen. It didn't occur in the way I wanted it to. And
it's really violent and harmful.
Yeah.
I mean, and
yeah.
I like you use the word I several times there. Like, I did this. I hurt this person. I've damaged them, us, which is very different than like
there was a gun, somebody got hurt.
Yeah, or like these weird apologies where like, I'm sorry if what I said hurt your feelings. Like, because then it's like it's your fault. Like,
right.
I'm sorry that you felt that way.
I'm sorry your feelings just are pathetic.
I'm sorry that you're having a bad day and couldn't handle my criticism. Like, I'm sorry that you took it this way. Like, there's so many ways we apologize and still blame. But this is just like, oh, I did that. Like that, I pulled the trigger. There's no, and trigger is such to me, a very vivid, like, there's no confusion of who pulled the trigger. Like,
right.
There's one hand on the gun, and it was me.
Taking ownership.
Yeah. Like that's a very, even ownership sounds like nice to me. That's like responsible. This is like, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shane, what any lines stand out to you when Lauren is working on this and you're like, ooh, you got something there?
Yeah, I just think there's a boldness in the chorus, like, of this song. Like,
you want to read the chorus for us?
Yeah, just saying, like, I'm sorry for hurting you with my words, for waging a war. I should have held you close. I see where but like that first line of it, I'm sorry for hurting with you. Like in today's culture, you don't hear that. Like, unless it's like I don't know, my generation would say it'd be like a sappy YouTube video you're just doing for more views anyway. Like, oh, it's a fake apology video. Ha. Like, no, like, to be like to be genuinely like apologetic, like, and remorseful, like seeking amends, for feelings and like broken relationships. Like, we want, I say we pretty broadly, but like we want justice. Like, don't lose your fight, hold your ground. Like, no, that's not the model of of a good relationship. Like, that's not what kids, that's not what people, that's not what even grown-ups need to hear. Like, they just need to hear they need to know to be able to surrender. And like, I understand there's scenarios and cases for every unique relationship, but I think every person close in each of our lives, we need to understand this, like, how to apologize, how to forgive, how to and so just for the first line of the chorus being, I'm sorry for hurting you with my words, like, it's bold and it's front. That's not what you'd expect from a chorus, from a pop song. Like,
yeah. So you said pop song. If somebody has not listened to the song, Lauren, what kind of tone can they expect from this? Is this like super sad? Is this Cats in the Cradle?
Right.
A big ballad, Meatloaf going back there? Is this operatic rock? What's the tone here?
You can expect to hear a bright pop tone. So there is a sense of hope behind the song.
So a hopeful song.
It is.
Despite kind of the content, it's hopeful. Okay.
Yeah. And you feel good, I think, when you listen to it. It's definitely one of those songs that kind of uplifts you and encourages you in a different way that I don't think a lot of people would expect just by reading the lyrics and just reading the title alone. So that's kind of what to expect as you listen to it.
Which I think is true of the subject matter as well. So to apologize or to lay down your arms or to not win feels like a loss, and no good can come from that. But from the few times I've had to apologize, I'm just kidding. Sorry. But that's where my wife is driving and laughs out loud. But there is so much freedom and joy when you're like, hey, I'm sorry. And you swallow your pride and you say, that was wrong. And there's no excuse for that. And it hurt you. And I'm sorry.
It turns out our relationship is so much more important than my pride.
You both probably breathe easier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I can highlight, this was another
Lauren.
Lyric thing that I was super, super proud of. I love when I can throw in some wordplay. The bridge has bloodshed and pain is never worth the last word. Unite in harmony, deafen the discord. And it's just that remembrance that, bloodshed and pain is never worth the last word. To unite, to come together is absolutely beautiful and creates this beautiful music, and I really liked that line a lot too. And one thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this too was actually something you said in a previous podcast really, really inspired the song as well when trying to capture what I wanted to express in the song. And it's in the chorus, the last line here, I'm with you, I'm for you, your ally. You talked about how you and Charlotte say that to each other.
I'm for you no matter what.
Yes. Yeah.
I should probably be saying that more. Yeah. Well,
play the
that's
song
encouraging.
more.
Thank you. Yeah.
Continuing off that, wasn't maybe I'll ruin the deepness of it. Wasn't there something really cool with the unite in harmony, deafen the discord?
There is, it's also an undertone. So Shane's and my wedding verse is Romans 15:6-7, which I can't quote it perfectly from memory, but it talks about how together in harmony with one voice we'll praise our God together, and that really kind of was a little nod to our wedding scripture verse.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking about being worth it earlier too, of like it's not worth it, the bloodshed, and I forgot the line, I'm sorry. Bloodshed and pain is never worth the last word. I'm not always a very gracious parent, and my kids are real people, and so sometimes they're at each other, and after it's like in ruin in the house and nobody's having a good day, in usually less than gracious words, I end up saying something like, was it worth it? Like whatever the thing was that was probably so small, now like no one's having a good day. And I realize in my own life, in that heat of that moment, I don't see that. I'm not able to make that value call until after the damage is done. It's like, oh, that clearly was not good. And I don't know how to get ahead of that in my own life sometimes. And how do I pause and breathe and say, is this worth the fight? Because some things are. Some things,
definitely,
like people's well-being, and like there's things where you got to take a stand.
Yeah.
But not a thousandth of the time as we actually do. For all the times we stand, 100-1, we probably should have let it go or breathe. So I don't know. Did processing through the composition of this, did it change you? I mean, I hear that it expressed something in you, like you processed a moment, but has it impacted you having written this or recorded it?
It definitely has. I think for me, what's really helped is sitting on that line that I heard you talk about in the podcast. I'm with you, I'm for you. Remembering we're on the same team. We want to fight together, not against each other. I think that has been super changed in my life and how I just view especially Shane and me, you know, as new married couples, you come into these conflicts.
After 18 years, we don't have those anymore.
Yeah. You evolve past it.
I'm just kidding. I rolled, for those of you only listening. I have much to repent of daily in my life, especially with my wife and kids. So between you two especially.
Yeah. And so that has been super formative for me, and it's definitely changed the way that I approach things. Like the second verse says, black smoke dancing in the sky. Oh my, breathe, wait for it to clear. Like, this all just happened. Let's just pause, take a breath, and then come back together. And this time I'm going to have a treaty in my hand. I'm going to lay down my arms and surrender. And so that opens the door, the space to communicate, to listen. I think we do a lot of talking at each other, where we need to be able to listen to the other people, to the other side.
And to seek to understand more than be understood. Like, no, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Okay, like, but what if one of us was more mature and said, okay, like, I think we should both be understood, like, but I'll listen first. That's it sounds really obvious when I'm in a good headspace, but it's a really beautiful thing to say, I care enough about you that I want to understand what you're saying, and not to use it against you, and not to like get you in your words or aha moment, but to actually seek to understand.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I love the word breathe, by the way, there, because like God has made us as physical people, and our heads and hearts and souls and bodies are all connected. And I think something like work on your breathing or mindfulness can be a really new age, and it can be done in unhopeful ways. But I think even as Christians, to say there is tremendous value in taking a couple deep breaths, or going for a walk, or go take a shower, or go eat because you're cranky right now and you're grumpy, and maybe Taco Bell will fix most of this. Like honestly, like you're like irritable. If you're feeling irritable, it might not just be the other person's a jerk. It might be you're feeling guilt or shame over something else. Oh, Taco Bell. There it is.
It was a little delayed.
It was a little delayed. I couldn't remember where it was. You got in the middle of your heartfelt sentence. I'm sorry. I had to.
I love it.
Oh, shame.
But like biblically, anger is never good. Like there's so many proverbs and teachings of Jesus and Paul that like the anger of God, or the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Like when we're angry, just no good comes from that. And this idea of like, oh yeah, what, like a righteous anger, like that's kind of a myth. We can't handle it. God didn't make us for that. Like God can be angry and righteous. We can't. Like we're just too selfish and sinful. So just breathe. It really stood out to me as a reminder of we cannot love well when we're angry.
Yeah.
And even
we don't.
Even in the song, I love musically what happens on that too. Like the music and the tracks are going, black smoke dancing in the sky, oh my, breathe. And then everything just cuts out, breathe. Wait for it to clear, and then kind of go back into the song. But it's just beautiful, like imagery within the music too. To like,
thank you.
To be like, to have that, like breathe, and just like have like literal silence in the music as a reminder, like, hey, maybe some silence and to be set apart from things. Like what we're saying, like it's really good. It's a really cool musically thing, just to listen out for. Sorry.
No, I love it. Lauren, I feel like you have lived with this for a while. Like you've poured yourself into this, and then, we listened to it before we started recording, and it got a print off here. Does that feel weird to like objectify something that is very personal to you? Objectify is maybe not the right word, but like it is. Like we're treating this like a thing, but it's also like part of you. What does it feel like to talk about your art?
I think that when we look at art, we see a little bit, or when we listen to art, we see a little bit of ourselves in there. So honestly, I'm kind of shocked I'm about to say this, but it doesn't feel weird to talk about it and to kind of like wrestle with it in a way, to hear how it means to other people. Like, it's been really a beautiful journey to have, like, there were a couple of people who came up to me after church, after I released the song, and let me know like what the song meant to them. Or
and we didn't play it in church. You just found it.
No. Yeah, it's not a song really to play at church, but or like what lyric stood out to them. And so it was just like, wow, you listened to my song and you heard something that latched onto you. That's like the best thing you could ask for as a songwriter, just like helping people, I don't know, discover more about life and themselves and feel a little less alone and feel heard and feel validated in what they go through. And somebody put this to music. Somebody put this to words. I get it. I need to hear this.
Yeah.
That's really validating to me.
That's cool. I'm so struck by like two very different topics right now. I'm sorry if my head is spinning. So on the one hand, I want to keep digging into like songwriting and artistic expression. On the other hand, I'm really just intrigued about like the subject matter of like repentance and apologies and reconciliation, and like these are like totally different things to be talking about. So it's an interesting song and like dance right now of like, oh, this, but also this, and like what's it like to write a song is very different than, okay, so how can people do this better? I don't. Shane, are you drawn more to one of those? I mean, I know our time's wrapping up here, but
no, I both are great. I feel that same.
Shane's a big, really good songwriter too. Everybody just want to. He's
already here.
I get enough attention.
So I feel like more listeners have to deal with saying sorry than are probably creating art. No, I want all of our listeners create art, express yourselves in lots of ways. But so I was going to ask, like, albums often have a theme, and one song fits in the next. But realistically, how many people listening right now are like arranging the 7 tracks of their next EP or whatever?
Right.
So maybe to acknowledge that's a cool thing I'm interested in, but I think more broadly speaking, this song is about the importance of relationship over winning a fight and being right.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of wrap up here, what could you say to the person who's on the other side of the white flag? So this song, it sounds like it's very much taking responsibility for my hurting of others. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, I hurt you. And yet the other person, on the one hand, probably isn't innocent either.
Right.
But also, like, it can be really hard to say, oh, I love you, or that's okay, because it's not okay.
Really hurt. Yeah.
Has this songwriting process given you any perspective on being the person who's being apologized to?
That's a really good question. I think it's important to recognize that we are all human. We all make mistakes. We're all sinful and choose to make horrible decisions. And so when somebody does come and apologize to you, I think that is a beautiful opportunity to be able to listen to their heart in their apology, and to take it to heart, and for you hopefully also to be able to share how you felt, how you feel. And I think it's just important to recognize that there is hurt on both sides, and we are human, and we're just walking through this life together, trying to make this life a little bit better, in this broken world.
Yeah. I
don't know if that helped answer the question.
It's a start, which is kind of one of the themes, I think, of why we have this podcast, is that we're not answering. Hopefully we're contributing to a conversation of things that matter, but we're not trying to solve it. And Shana, I think honestly this would be a really cool series of like how to say sorry, and from the other perspective of too, like, okay, now what? Yeah. Because our culture says that's okay. That's like a normal, okay, that's okay. Or more often than not, we don't even get to apologize because you're dead to me.
Yeah.
And so like, I think it'd be really fascinating to have friends, neighbors, coworkers, spouses, parents and kids, siblings. Like we could do 50 weeks in a row of, hey, here's a real example of two people who were out of sync and had conflict, and like, what works, what doesn't work, what do you wish you could do differently?
And chances are, when you are that person that does say something bad, like if you're anything like me, you lay awake at night thinking about that and like, oh my gosh, I wish I yeah.
I would shout out to in one of our very first episodes on this. We did Marriage is Messy, and I think that's where the whole like I'm for you. But when we had a Carl and Danette Church on, you can go back and watch it. This is just interesting because I remember asking, it was like, what was the messiest part of your marriage? Like, it's not a great thing to ask people just out of the blue, but they were super honest. It's like, there was a really dark day in their relationship, and they didn't know if it was going to work, but I think both of them amended. There was repentance, there was forgiveness in that, and just to say, like, there's so many stories that I think need to be shared.
Yeah. So maybe your homework assignment, dear listeners, is I bet a lot of this is easier to talk about when you're not in the heat of the moment, when you're not actually boiling over with anger and there's not raw woundedness in the room. So maybe go to your sibling, go to your parent, go to your spouse, go to your neighbor, coworker, friend, get a beer, coffee, and say something along the lines of, hey, next time I say or do something dumb, or be more direct, like the next time I hurt you, how can we get past that? And I bet that would be a pretty fascinating conversation, especially if there's not a conflict going on.
Yeah.
Like Shane, if we went and got a coffee next week and just said, all right, Dan, like we work together, we step on each other's toes. The next time we step too hard, what should we do about that? What would be helpful for me to say? What would be a good context to bring that up in? What would be helpful for me to hear back from you? Like, I think that would be a really fruitful conversation.
Just a great fruitful at any given point.
Go home and talk to Charlotte tonight, put the kids to bed, open a bottle of wine, and say, okay, besides all the things I should apologize for this week, which is a lot, like, all right, next time we're out of sorts, like, how can I apologize better? Or when you apologize, what would be healing for me to hear or do? And there's going to be some give and take probably. Like she might say, I need you to just be quiet. I'm like, but I need to express myself. Like, okay, well, how do we do that? So one of our things we regularly say on the podcast is we want to, keep the conversation going. And so I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope you learned about galaxies and websites. And turns out there's a lot of pens that get thrown away.
There's scary.
Maybe you discovered some new music. Maybe you laughed aloud when Shane hits the Taco Bell or some other sound effect in the middle of a conversation.
I do have one shout out.
Yeah, please.
Before we fully wrap it up, huge shout out to Jordan Young
for producing this song.
Hey-o.
Yes,
incredible musician, artist. You can find him on Spotify under Analog Android. Just incredible. He's one of our friends, classmates from Concordia Irvine. Just has a phenomenal ear for music and knows
helps
how
the song come to life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's there's one thing to songwrite, one
Jordan
thing
Young.
to create the music, but to produce it is just a whole different work of art.
Yeah, fantastic.
So just want a huge shout out to him.
So listen to White Flag by Lauren, Lauren Kruse, Kruse. And find somebody to have the conversation with about what does it look like to wave the white flag? What does it look like to respond when somebody else does? And my counsel and advice would be, it's a lot easier to have that conversation when you're not fighting. But
when that black smoke clears.
Yeah, to go breathe, and maybe the next conversation isn't even rehashing the fight, but it's like, hey, last week was really not fun for me either. We can talk about the issues later, but can we just step back and talk about us for a second? How do we do this better next time?
Yeah.
And maybe you don't need this. You don't have to have a winner from last week. You don't have to even have a super specific apology or fixing what was wrong. But I care enough about you that we should fix this going forward. We can do that better. I can do that better.
Relationships are important.
This is my homework. None of this is for any of our listeners or you two. This is just me going, all right, I gotta go apologize on the way home.
Write a 2-page paper on how this makes you feel. Submit it at our website before midnight.
Lauren, thank you for being here. Thanks for being willing to share yourself, your gifts,
Thanks for having
your heart.
me.
Yeah.
This
all
was
right.
a good
Thank
conversation.
you, Dan.
Shane, thanks for producing. Yeah, Shane's our executive producer, our technical director, our Foley artist, our key grip. You are all the things.
What's a key grip?
It's in the credits of shows. I don't know.
It's under there somewhere. All right. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.
That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.